Undercover boss orders coffee at his own cafe, could not believe when he hears the barista yelling. Roast and Rise wasn't just a coffee shop. It was redemption poured in a cup. It was a warm light for the people the world had cast into shadows. It was the soul of Elijah Cortez, a 54-year-old Latin American man with graying hair, tired hands, and a heart that had been shattered and stitched together more times than he could count. In his 20s, Elijah had hit rock bottom. After his mother passed away and a bad business deal left him penniless, he found himself sleeping in the backseat of a rusted Buick with nothing but a duffel bag of clothes and a dream he no longer believed in. For months, he survived off day-old pastries and the kindness of strangers. The world looked at him like he was nothing, like his value had an expiration date. And then, one rainy night, a tiny hole-in-the-wall cafe took a chance on him. That job saved his life. Years later, when Elijah founded Roast and Rise, he vowed to build a place where others could get that same lifeline. A real shot. Not just a job, but a purpose. He hired ex-cons, recovering addicts, single moms, and foster kids who aged out of the system. People society had forgotten. And against all odds, the company grew, one cup at a time. 81 locations, coast to coast. A community built on compassion, dignity, and grit. But the email shattered that image. It came late one night. No name, no return address, just words typed in a hurry, like someone was scared even writing them. The mission's dead. The manager only hires influencers now. People are getting fired for looking bad on camera. They're embarrassed by us. They're embarrassed by you. Elijah stared at the screen for hours, blinking through the tears. His hands trembled. He tried to tell himself it was a lie, but deep down he knew. He hadn't visited the cafes in months. He'd been busy with corporate deals, legal meetings, expansion plans. Maybe he'd been too far removed. Maybe in trying to grow the company, he'd left the heart of it behind. He couldn't sleep. At 4:13 a.m., he got up. No driver, no PR rep, no assistant. He walked to his closet, pulled out the clothes he used to wear before the money came in. An old flannel hoodie, washed-out jeans, and sneakers with a busted sole. He rubbed some ash into his beard stubble, wore a faded baseball cap low over his eyes, and left his phone at home. Before sunrise, he boarded a flight to Seattle. Not as a CEO, as a nobody, just another face the world would overlook. He wanted to see with his own eyes, hear with his own ears, feel what his customers and employees were experiencing. Without filters, without handlers, without anyone knowing who he was. Because if the cafe that once saved his life had become the kind of place that judged others for how they looked, then Elijah Cortez was going to tear it all down and start over. Hey, I know so many of you come back to watch our stories, and it means the world. But the truth is, most of you watching right now still aren't subscribed. If you're one of them, please take a second and hit that subscribe button. It's completely free for you, and for me, it's the biggest support you could ever give. These stories take heart to tell. Let's keep telling them together. Elijah pushed open the cafe door, and the first thing that hit him was the gloss. Too much gloss. The walls were plastered with bright neon signs flashing trendy slogans. Sip, snap, share. And not just coffee, a lifestyle. There were influencer photo booths decked out with fairy lights and props. The smell of fresh espresso was there, yes, but buried under a layer of artificial vanilla and hype. This wasn't the warm sanctuary Elijah had built. It was a showroom. He walked up to the counter and tried to steady his voice. "Hi, just a regular drip coffee, please," Elijah said quietly, hoping to blend in. Behind the counter, Tina barely glanced up. She had a ring light aimed at her face, and her phone was live streaming. Her words came out flat, rehearsed, like a script she'd read 1,000 times. "We don't do drip coffee anymore," she said, barely hiding her annoyance. "That's not our vibe. We're about experiences now, you know? You want something special." Elijah blinked, swallowing a lump in his throat. "Okay, what do you recommend?" That's when Ryder stepped forward. Bleached hair, an expensive tattoo peeking out of his flashy apron, and a cocky grin that made Elijah's stomach twist. Ryder looked Elijah up and down like he was inspecting a thrift store reject. "We actually do have drip coffee," Ryder said loudly, loud enough for a small crowd to turn and listen. But honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. Unless you're planning to sit here all day and not shower. A few nearby customers snickered. Some whispered to each other. Elijah's jaw clenched so hard he could taste the bitterness of humiliation in his mouth. "Excuse me?" Ryder smirked and rolled his eyes. "Dude, I'm just being honest. We're rebranding. Upscale vibe. Clean, sleek, Instagrammable. You might want to try somewhere less earthy." Elijah's fingers curled into fists. He felt the sting, not just of Ryder's words, but of what they meant. That people like him, people with worn clothes, faded stories, and battles unseen, were no longer welcome here. Behind the counter, a young woman was silently mopping the floor. Her name tag read Isabella. She looked down, her hands trembling slightly. Elijah caught the pain in her eyes. Fear, shame, and something else. The courage to speak up, maybe, but held back by a wall he'd never seen before. "Isabella," Elijah said softly, leaning toward her. She flinched but nodded. "Does this feel right to you?" She hesitated, voice barely a whisper. "Number. But if you say something, you get pushed out. They want perfect faces, perfect stories. People like us, we're invisible." Elijah's heart broke in a way words couldn't fix. He took his coffee, lukewarm, bitter, and far from the hope it once symbolized. He paid without a word and slipped into a corner booth, wrapping his hands around the cup like it was the last lifeline he had. His body shook, not from the caffeine, but from the cold realization that the company he built with his own hands was dying from within. From his quiet corner, Elijah's ears caught the unmistakable tone of Ryder's voice. Loud, arrogant, and completely without remorse. He wasn't trying to hide anymore. He was practically bragging. "So yeah," Ryder said with a cruel smirk, leaning casually against the counter as he spoke to another team lead. A younger woman with tight curls and a nervous glance. "I talked to HQ yesterday, told him this rebranding needs to go all the way. No more recovery hires, no more charity cases. This place ain't a shelter, it's a brand now. Clean-cut people who look good on TikTok and bring in followers. That's the future." Elijah's heart froze. The team lead's eyes widened. "You really think Cortez is going to go for that?" Ryder laughed, a sound cold enough to chill a room. "That old guy? He hasn't been around in months, probably dead or something, for all anyone cares. HQ just wants the numbers up. Doesn't care if it means killing the soul of the place." Elijah's fingers clenched the edge of the table so hard his knuckles whitened. His breath came in shallow gasps. Was this his company? The dream he bled for? Suddenly, Isabella, the quiet, trembling floor cleaner, rushed over, her eyes wide with urgency. "Sir," she whispered, voice shaking, "I think you should go. They're going to kick you out soon. Ryder's done this before. He's ruthless." Elijah looked at her, voice soft but urgent. "Why haven't you reported this to anyone higher up?" Her lower lip trembled, tears glistening in her eyes. "I did. They fired my friend last month for speaking out. They said she wasn't on brand, not the right image for the company. She cried for 2 days straight before she left town." That confession hit Elijah like a hammer to the chest. The weight of betrayal, the loss of trust, the destruction of everything he stood for. His vision of Roast and Rise, a beacon of second chances, was being erased, one polished, fake smile at a time. The room seemed to spin, and right then, Elijah knew one thing for sure. This was the breaking point. Moments later, Ryder strode toward Elijah's booth, a forced grin plastered across his face, phone in hand, likely ready to record or live stream the confrontation. His swagger was tinged with arrogance, the kind that only comes from feeling untouchable. "Sir," Ryder said, voice dripping with fake politeness, "I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're making some of our regulars uncomfortable. You're not really the customer we cater to." Before Elijah responds, if you're loving this story and want more real, powerful moments like this, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Elijah rose slowly, his eyes calm but burning with quiet fury. "You're right," he said evenly. "I'm not your regular customer." He reached inside his worn jacket and pulled out a sleek metal badge that gleamed under the cafe lights. The badge read, "Elijah Cortez, CEO and founder of Roast and Rise. Ryder's smirk faded like a candle in the wind. The entire cafe seemed to hold its breath. Isabella dropped her mop, eyes wide in shock. Tina's live stream froze, capturing her stunned expression. Customers exchanged glances, some already pulling out their phones, whispering. Elijah's voice cut through the silence, sharp as steel. I was here, watching, listening, watching you mock customers, hearing you brag about firing people because they don't fit the brand. You're the one who doesn't belong here. Ryder's confident posture cracked, panic flickering in his eyes. Sir, I didn't know. I thought you were just some... Exactly, Elijah interrupted, voice firm but carrying a lifetime of pain. You thought, you judged, just like the world did to me when I was broke, desperate, and desperate for a second chance. You are everything this company was built against. He stepped closer, voice softening just enough to carry the weight of his mission. Roast and Rise was never about appearances. It's about hope, redemption, giving people a place to heal and grow. And if you can't see that, then maybe this isn't the place for you. The cafe was silent. The words hung heavy in the air. Elijah scanned the room, at the staff, the customers, at Isabella, who wiped away a tear. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but this moment was a start. Elijah turned slowly to face everyone in the room, his eyes sweeping across the baristas, the staff, and the customers. His voice softened, but carried the weight of his journey, the pain, the hope, the unwavering belief in what Roast and Rise truly stood for. I built this company not for influencers, not for clout or perfect Instagram photos, but for the broken, the outcast, the people who've been told you're not good enough, because I was one of them. I didn't build Roast and Rise to be cute or trendy. I built it to be kind. A pause settled over the room. No one dared to interrupt. And kindness? Elijah smiled gently. Kindness never goes out of style. The room was quiet. Then, one by one, nods of agreement, a few tears glistening in eyes that had forgotten hope. That very day, Ryder was shown the door, fired for his toxic attitude and betrayal of the company's values. Tina was suspended with a clear message. Roast and Rise was reclaiming its soul. But Isabella, she was promoted, from a quiet floor cleaner to assistant manager, a symbol of what the company truly believed in. Second chances and lifting people up. Elijah didn't stop there. He launched a bold, nationwide campaign called The Real Brand, featuring real employees sharing raw, unfiltered stories of redemption and transformation. The campaign exploded across social media, resonating deeply with people across the country. In the weeks that followed, Roast and Rise became more than just a coffee shop. It became a community, a sanctuary. Thousands shared their own second chance stories. Customers didn't just come for the coffee anymore. They came for the culture, for the heart behind every cup. And Elijah? He kept going undercover, not to catch people making mistakes, but to protect the soul of what he built. Because sometimes what you hear behind the counter tells you everything you need to know, and sometimes the one being judged is the one holding the blueprint for a better world.